Clap one. Oh shit. Sorry. New microphone, new levels. God damn it. All right. Clap one on three. One, two, three. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of True Crime and Cocktails. We're so glad that you're here. As always, I am your host, Lauren Ash, and as always, I am joined by my co-hostess with the mostess, Christy Oxborrow. How you feeling?
I'm great. I'm pooped, but I'm great.
She's pooped.
I'm
What's
pooped.
poop-a-looped?
Yeah, I spent the afternoon at the pool
Oh, so you're
and
pool
I'm
pooped.
and I'm pool pooped. I forgot that like as a lady in her 40s, I might want like more downtime
Mm-hmm.
after like a swim, but in my brain I'm like I'm just lounging. I'm just like kicking back lounging. And I'm like, but you're constantly like treading water.
Mm-hmm.
You don't consider like, well, no, I don't consider how exhausting it's going to be. And then I get out of there and I'm like, I'm done.
I think even just being in water is tiring. And I know that
Oh, yeah.
doesn't fully make sense, but it also does to me.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm just
My
doing my damnedest to try and get my youngest in a pool as much as possible. Because
because he loves it.
that was his summer dream.
Right.
Was he just wants to go to the pool so much. I need to take him more throughout the year, I think, but it just gets so busy with school and kids sports and there's just never a great time. Make the time, Christy. That's what I'm learning. The point is, he told me his summer dream, which I don't remember if I asked, but he told me the summer dream was get in the pool as much as possible. So I was like, okay, there are 9 weeks of summer. My plan is get him in the pool once a week minimum. So I'm like,
I
I
think
can
that's
do that.
reasonable.
We got the slip and slide out back that he can get into on the no off times. There's 2 weeks in there. He's doing swimming lessons. So he'll be in the pool every day. We're going on vacation. I found a hotel with a water slide and a pool. So I'm like, where I have plans that he can be in the pool every day of that vacation if he wants.
It's beautiful.
So I'm like, let's just hope that's enough. But what this is going to turn into is next summer he'll be like, let's do it again.
Right.
And then I'm going to turn into the whole there's only 100 summers, just do it. And I'm going to cry about it.
Yeah.
So let him
Yeah.
have his pool summer. It is what it is. He's having a great time. I'm just pooped.
Listen, I have a remarkable amount of energy as someone who's been very ill for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say it. I got COVID. It was
Yeah.
very retro. It was very vintage. Um, it's
Hmm.
2020 all over again. Um, that sucks, man.
Yes.
Sucks. Takes you down. That's another one
Yeah.
where it's like, I feel like the exhaustion level is so high,
Hmm.
more so than with other colds and flus. It's like body aches and just you're so tired. Anyway, so I've been like cooped up in the house. Uh,
You've been cooped and I've been pooped. Oh, I
oh
like
my
that.
God.
We're
You're
adorable.
listening to 95.5 Coop of the Poop.
I want my radio name to be poop, though. Probably not.
No, I'll be Poop if you want. You can be Coop.
Just I'll turn it into something cute like poopsie or something. Okay, no, stop. I can't
Listen,
poopsie.
I mean, you could.
Somehow, and I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. I think I'd rather be turd.
You're listening. This is 95.5. You're listening to Coop and the Turd. That's better than the poop? I don't
How
know.
I don't know. Again, I can't even, it was an indoor pool, so I can't even say I was out in the sun. Uh, um, but wow, I'd rather be called the turd. Keep in mind, dear people, I'm not requesting to be called the turd.
No, no, no.
That's not a thing.
She's not getting business cards made, folks. Okay.
No.
Chill out. Cool out.
Oh, but they'd look like toilet paper. Not the point.
It's kind of writing itself, unfortunately.
Turn it off, Christy.
You can't,
You
and that's the
can't.
gift. That's the
Yeah.
gift. That's the magic.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, listen, it's been quite a week. It's been a real bummer. I've been kind of bedridden.
Uh,
So what have I been spending my time doing? A couple things.
hmm.
One, binging all of my new obsession, a little program called The Pit.
Yeah. Hmm.
I, okay, look, I have to preface this. I am someone who is known for playing a character on television, and I have experienced what it feels like for people to not view you as a real person.
Oh, sure.
They call me Dina, they think I'm Dina. It can be overwhelming and it
Yeah.
can feel dehumanizing. So with that being said, I'm the biggest fucking hypocrite on the planet because I'm in love with Dr. Robbie, the Noah Wiley character. I am in love with the character.
Hmm.
Now, I think the
Hmm.
difference is that if I met him, I wouldn't call him Dr. Robbie. You
That you
know,
know of.
I would have to be in a fever dream in order for that to happen. Coop would be off, would be out of the coop. She would have flown the coop. Um, but I have not responded to this, to a character this deeply in years. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there were a lot of heavy text messaging coming through.
It was heavy texting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
heavy,
I
heavy
mean,
text.
it also says a lot that you kept me updated
Yep.
throughout the whole thing, which you know I loved. And I told you I would give it a try, but I didn't tell you when I was giving it a try. The only inkling you got that
Hmm.
I started it was an all caps text, Sean Hattasy? That's it. I said nothing
And
else.
I was like, I got her.
Yeah, you were like, and she's in.
And she's in. And here's the other thing. I was trying to play it cool, right? Because I had
Oh,
absolutely overhyped the show. I don't think I overhyped it. I think the show's that good. But
oh,
I had
it's a
hyped the
solid
show.
show.
I had to hype the show a lot to her. So I didn't want to be like continually, where are you? How many
Of
episodes
course.
in? So I waited until this moment to check in with her about it. Where are you? How many episodes in are you?
Well, I don't want to let you down, but I feel like I'm going to.
Oh,
I've only done two so far.
that's
I
okay.
had
It's okay.
plans. I had plans for today. I don't have to justify it, but I will for you.
No.
So last night, because I around the time you got COVID, I got so badly sunburnt. And mine, for some reason, it has just really dragged out. And last night, I I had told myself today I have less things I had to do today. I'm gonna binge through like so many episodes was my plan. And then I ended up sleeping late because I was up till like 3, 4 in the morning last night because I couldn't sleep because my
Mm.
skin was like
Oh,
on fire and itchy and like driving me insane. Um, and then this morning I got up and I was like, God, I've got to run a couple of errands. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh God. And then I told him I would take him to the pool. And then it just, as soon as I came home from the pool, I was like, like, you know what I mean? I was like, she's
you
melted into
powered
a
down.
pile.
You powered
Yeah,
down.
I did mentally. I was not really conscious. Um, and then I was like, I should also, prep for work. I'll see. I will say I'm gonna see about it tomorrow, but tomorrow I also have to pack for
It's
my
okay. There's
vacation.
no deadline.
But I
Again,
am gonna get to
it's
it.
a lot of TV. There's a lot of episodes. I was sick. I had nothing else to do but sit and watch and fall deeper and deeper in love
Mm,
with Dr. Robbie. I think it's just, I've been reflecting on it because I'm like, why is this character in my soul? Like, what
hmm.
is it about this character that is like resonating with me so hard? And what I think, and I'm certain that people are probably gonna be able to poke holes in this, whatever. But here's my initial thought.
Hmm.
I think it is very rare for us to watch a television show where the lead character is just a kind man,
Oh, that's nice.
right?
Oh, people are gonna say Ted Lasso, but it's in a different way.
It's a different thing. It's a different thing. I think Maybe, but maybe that's the Ted Lasso effect. Maybe that's part of the reason why we got this show, right? Like
Oh,
it's
sure.
so rare for it to be like a depiction of like a good, kind man.
That's nice. I'm
Yeah.
relieved to hear that he's just going to be solid
Well,
throughout
I
this. I
mean,
mean, I
no,
expected
no
nothing less.
spoilers, and don't get me wrong, he goes through it. Don't get me wrong,
Of
but
course
in
he does.
terms of like character and where he's ground, like where he's guided from, and like
Sure.
yeah, I just think that so often in this, especially in dramas, our leads are typically, you know, when we see a lot of straight white male leads, it's Tony Soprano, it's
Sure.
Walter White. It's these characters that I'm not saying are bad people, but it's not someone that's necessarily just like a good I mean, Walter White maybe. I never watched that show. He turned into the Heisenberg guy or whatever, right? Like I don't know.
I never watched it either.
I don't know. The point is this. I love that I'm already backing down from my own argument, but I'll stand by. Maybe it's also this point in my life. At this point in my life,
Sure.
I just never expected to see a show where I was like, oh, look at that. Look at him. He's nice. How beautiful.
The bar is
It's
low.
in hell. It's solo.
hmm
Yeah,
hmm But
yeah.
look, I think it's nice to have a nice person. It's a
I've been in,
change to see
yes.
someone
I
nice.
think we just see so much. I don't know. And I'm like, is it what I'm watching? Like, I don't know. Like, it's like, you know, even Fox Mulder was a porn addict. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's got their things. We don't know that he was an addict. They allude to it a little bit. It doesn't matter, Lauren. It doesn't matter. I
hmm
think I'm going through something emotionally. And you know what? I think that's okay.
Yes,
I
that's
think that's
okay.
okay.
I think
I'm
that's great.
I'm gearing up to the release of the album. I'm gonna be
Yep.
honest. We're finalizing everything. I'm literally so close I can taste it. Like there's one song left. I just heard a mix. We're gonna give notes. It's gonna come back. We're gonna get it mastered. It's gonna be done within the next few days. And as I've been and listen, I've revisited the music throughout because I play these songs when I play live. But like
Of
as I've been sitting
course.
and like really listening, and you have to really listen again to try and take in all the nuance to give
Of
notes because it's
course.
like speak now or forever hold your peace. Um, I think I've been finding it very emotional. And I think
Sure.
the fact that I've been in the house for a week
Mm.
with nothing but, you know, time and Dr. Robbie and Lavubus is like I think that that's uh I think that that's I'm putting it together in this moment. I think I'm emotional. I think I'm emotional. I think it's
Sure.
twofold. I think it's twofold. I think one, it's the subject matter, which I've never everybody knows what the album's about. And if you
Mm.
don't, listen to the album. Anyway, I feel like listeners of ours anyway have a keen idea. But then it's honestly like I've been having these feelings of like, what an accomplishment. Like,
Yes.
wow, like I really am so proud of myself. And I think it's so rare
Yes.
that we take the time to say that because it's like, oh, we're supposed to be humble or whatever. And I'm like, fuck it, man. I did something really amazing and it like was really hard and it was really wonderful and upsetting and beautiful and all of those things. And I think it's just like coming to a head, you know?
Of
As it's like I'm
course.
in the thick of it now. I'm so close to it now that it's like to it actually being done. And I'm proud of myself for not like letting it go on and on. Like it's not like we
Sure.
wrote these songs and then like 3 years later I'm like, oh, I should release those. I was like, no, I want to release it on the, 1 year point after,
Mm.
and I want it to be these songs and I want to get it done. Um,
Good for
sure.
you.
Are there challenges that I'm still on that are ongoing? Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I won't bore people with the details, but it's like every little listen, I could host a course after this. Hey, want to release your own music? It's a step-by-step guide. It's a
hmm
companion course to, hey, want to open an e-commerce store? These are
Yeah. hmm
the courses I could offer. But anyway, all of this to say, I think I'm also really excited to be doing this again because it's nice to talk, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so many things.
Yeah.
Um, I'm so glad that you're proud of yourself because you should
Yes.
be.
Thank you.
It was an incredible accomplishment,
Yeah.
and don't let anyone take that away from you. I think it's great. You should be shouting it from the rooftops because it's incredibly impressive.
Thank you.
Because I mean, it's also that wasn't just the only thing you were doing because you're also doing
Right.
so many things for this show and like you have a life. So it's like you've got so many other things that you're doing. So to do that on top of everything else, I mean, incredibly impressive. I know we're I know we're all on our own journey.
I can't wait.
Um, I within the last few minutes became very proud of myself because I realized I came up with something I like better than turd.
And
And I worry once I say it out loud, I'm gonna go, it's not better.
Mhm.
Boom, boom.
No. No. Boom boom.
It's immediately like, what, what, like, there's gotta be like a cute name for shit. Like, what do sometimes people call it with like babies? And then I was like, oh, I think someone I've heard somebody call it a boom boom. I never use that, but
The only thing I associate with boom boom is intercourse, which in a way, if
chicks, yeah. It's not wrong. Ah.
oh my God, that is not in a million years did I think you were come up with boom boom. That is incredible.
I don't think I don't think anybody was, and I'll walk back being proud of myself. I can do better, but also unnecessary. Stop rifling through your brain catalog there looking for names for shit. Let
You're
it
listening to boom
go.
boom in the coop.
Well, shit, that's just charming. We aren't gonna have a radio show. I don't need to be boom boom.
I mean, again, we kind of do have a radio show. You know what I mean? It's just like
You're right.
it's a weekly radio show.
You're
It's
right.
future radio. Isn't that what we would call podcast? This is just talk radio in a sense.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, again, I need to stop. Like I've already said, like I don't need people calling me anything shit related. And then here I am where I'm just like,
Well, but again, I don't know how many people refer. Let's take a poll. Hey, listeners, when you hear boom boom, do you think poo poo or do you think wah 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 ooh? Why did I have to make porn sounds? I've been in the house too long. I have not been talking to enough people.
we've hit something here
Oh, and
tonight.
it's
I
early. We're 18 minutes into
Yeah,
this one,
yeah.
baby.
And that's the joke. It's early in the episode, but already so late at night.
Yeah,
Because
we
I'll
did
say
get
it, we dicked around before the we dicked around. Oh, there's no other way to say it. We just
yeah.
haven't, seen each other via Zoom in a bit. In a bit. I don't know
In
what
a
that was.
in a biatch.
I don't know what that was. But I'm here for it. And then our start time got pushed, and then all of a sudden we start, and then it's like, well, have you heard this? And then we're just like two old broads catching up over tea,
Yep.
piping hot in some cases, and then just
Piping hot.
and we dicked around.
We dicked around. We
Let's say
dicked
what
around for
it is.
longer than we typically dick around.
Yeah. Yeah, usually it's like we chit chat for like an hour. But this time it was like two 2+ hours.
It was
And
two.
then we were
It
like
was two.
we need to wrap this up so we can get into things.
We need to stop this conversation so that we can now have a 2 hour conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the joke is after the episode, then we'll do like a Patreon episode, and then we'll probably dick around for another chunk of time.
It happens. It happens. That's
Yeah.
why we end up being on these Zooms for like 5, 6, 7 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, there's something very freeing about just openly saying we dicked around. So I can't wait. Because quite often when these leak into like a 7+ hour Zoom, Um, and I end up coming to bed like very late. The next day, my husband will be like, "You came to bed like so late. That's so weird. You guys didn't start late. Like, why did it take so long? What happened?" And I'm always like, "Oh, like we maybe chat for a bit, whatever." And I let it go. I think tomorrow, because this is going to be a late one. We know it. Tomorrow, when he's like, "How come you ended up coming to bed so late?" I'm just going to turn and say, "We dicked around." Because I don't know why I'm so
Yep.
passionate about it now, but I'm like, it is what it is.
Listen, we're the boss.
Yeah.
This is the thing. We don't other podcasts.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
Hmm.
Professional podcasts.
Yep. Hmm.
They have a producer in the room.
They
So they
do.
they can't really dick around because
You're
they're
right.
on a timeline, they've rented a studio, they have a producer there. There's perhaps an engineer
Mhm.
of some sorts. These two chuckleheads, that's not how we roll.
No.
No, no, no. This is
Someone put these
DIY.
goofs in charge.
Someone put two goofs in charge,
Yeah.
Boom Boom in the coop. And
It's growing on me.
do you think that Boom Boom and the coop get to work right away? Come on.
No.
No.
No. Boom Boom takes a lot longer than it used to.
Does that mean to take a poop
I think that's what I was
or to
going
get it
for. Yeah.
up?
Oh, I've never had that problem. Uh, I, I can't be stopped. Boom
We're out of
Boom in the
control.
Coop is fuck. I hate how much I love it. Um, oh, now I'm trying to think of like what's what's like a logo I can make for Boom Boom in the Coop that I can one day eventually carve into a rubber eraser.
Where are we on the rubber carving?
I
Have you?
I've received it. I've opened it. I've been very excited. Again, I haven't had the time. My hope
It's
is we're
it's all
getting
right.
into it.
It's
Ideally, I'll
all
be doing
right.
this while watching The Pit. But I feel tomorrow, oh yeah, because I'm leaving for a week-long vacation in like a day. So I have a day to finish my laundry, which I have a note in the kitchen for when I go out at some point to get a different drink to run down and get switch my laundry so it's all ready for tomorrow so I can fold everything and then pack for multiple people and then, you know, hope for the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
Listen.
taken a simple family vacation
Uh-huh.
and added things that are unnecessary.
You?
I know. I know.
I'm kidding.
But the joke is, again, get ready for that. You again. Um, it's bringing up a passion that is going to get out of control. I have, for no reason,
Mm-hmm.
taken an 8.5 hour road trip
Mm-hmm.
and I've extended it by at least 2 hours so we can fit in 7 world's largest statues along the way. I say along the way, one of them is absolutely out of the way. And if we have the time, I may have us add on another hour to get another one that I'll never see again in my lifetime unless I do it.
Hey, I think that's beautiful. And you know what? You're creating lifelong memories by doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they going to care as much as me? No, no.
No, but that's
But
still beautiful. That's nice.
yeah.
It's
And only
nice.
a handful of them have they ever seen before.
So some of them they have seen before.
I think, well, there's one that's not that far from here, but it's not on the highway. You have to like get off the highway. And I don't know if we've ever done that with the kids. So
Mm,
I don't know that they've seen that one, but it's also like I'm sure some they've seen just in passing and they won't care.
right.
But I also have not informed my husband about it.
Hmm.
I've like come up with the entire plan, and basically he's gonna find out Sunday morning when we get in the car, and he's like, "Hey, what's the first stop?" And I'm like, "Great news. We're going to Keniston." And he'll be like, "Why are we doing that?" And I'll say, "Because it's the blizzard capital of Canada and they have an 18-foot snowman. Let's go."
Did we see that snowman?
We did. I do believe we stopped to see it on our way to Saskatoon. I have also double checked on things, and it's not the largest in Canada or the world. So I'm just calling it the largest in Saskatchewan, I think.
Okay.
Am I taking us out of our way so we can see like a 40 plus foot Ukrainian garlic sausage? Yeah. And if I'm willing to tack on another like 40 minutes on the trip, we can also see the world's largest mallard duck.
Okay, I have to be honest with you. The world's largest mallard? I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Sure. Not the world's largest, but a very large snowman. That makes sense.
Hmm.
Ukrainian garlic sausage is
Kielbasa. Yeah.
it's so specific. You're listening to
Yeah.
Kielbasa in the Coop.
Yeah. There's also a place, I think it's somewhere in Alberta, that has the world's largest pierogi. But it was
Is
too
there?
far out of the way.
Oh, well, what a shame. But
Yeah.
what is with these? Why it's so specific? Like, is there a
Yeah.
big German community that,
I think it's the Ukrainian community in that specific place
excuse me.
because the the kielbasa is within half an hour of the world's largest paisenka, which is of course a Ukrainian Easter egg. We'll be
I
stopping there as
I
well.
didn't realize that there was such a large Ukrainian
In that
community
area, apparently,
in
yeah.
Saskatchewan. How
Well, that one
beautiful.
is specifically for Alberta, but
Excuse
yeah.
me, I misspoke. Yes. I'm sorry, I'm still reeling from kielbasa. And then no reaction to me
Yeah.
renaming Boom Boom Kielbasa.
Yeah.
She
For
doesn't like
some
it.
reason, I guess I don't want to say I'm taken with Boom Boom. That's not something what? This is insanity. I just, I don't know. There's also a place in Saskatchewan that has the world's largest paperclip, and I'm like, I might do a day trip. I wish I was kidding. I'm not.
Listen,
I've got the bug, and immediately I'm like, what I wouldn't give someone to pay me to be like, we want you to visit all these places. Make like a coffee table book of the world's largest things in Canada.
yeah,
Yes, yes, please.
a beautiful idea.
I couldn't be happier. There is apparently somewhere in Ontario, I can't remember where, is Canada's largest snowman. I can't remember the height currently, but he's easily 30 plus feet. He wears sunglasses all year round,
Hmm.
and I believe a top hat. In the summer months, he holds a fishing rod, and they change it out in the winter for a curling broom. I need to
That's
go twice.
that's adorable.
Oh my God, just be there for the few days over when they're going to change it over. I
Yeah.
could contact someone at City Hall. Christy
City Hall.
I just need to know when
What
it
city?
changed. I can't remember. Somewhere, I mean, it can't be that.
I
Here
mean,
we
surely
go.
they Canada's sweetheart, Christy Oxborrow, co-host of True Crime and Cocktails. I mean, that's a meeting you could probably get in person.
I
You could probably meet
just,
meet with the mayor, depending.
he is 35 feet tall. He is in the town of Beardmore.
Beardmore.
Yeah.
Wow. That's messaging I can get behind.
This is him in the
Beardmore.
summer.
He's adorable.
Yeah,
He's portly.
he is. It's, I'm gonna have to save this photo. I never expect like what we're gonna have to add to show the people. Um, but
Into
yeah,
the
oh,
case
here we
files.
go.
Yeah.
Here we go. I mean, you can't see it very well, but in the winter months,
It's cute.
a curling broom.
Now, not to be crass, but I noticed something there at his crotch area. Is that a
Yeah,
door?
I can't tell. I think it's maybe, is it like a light?
Can
Oh,
you?
it is a light
Oh, okay.
because when I zoom in here, you can see it better at that angle.
Oh, okay. That's better.
So it's a
Yeah, it just looked
he
like
has a spotlight.
is there a tiny door to go inside right where his D would be? And that felt like, is that what we're doing?
Well, off the rails is what we do.
Yeah, I would say that typically we're not on the rails, but
Mm.
to tonight, I don't even think we know where the rails exist.
Yeah, look, the God, I have to stop talking.
No.
The these world's largest things that I've always deeply, deeply loved, but have really decided I'm gonna have to be more into this. I I've decided that at each of these locations I'm gonna unbox stuff. I've added that to my plate. And then I've considered, should I just take a small video at each one? And I'm like, and lengthen that drive? I'm already pushing 10 hours in the car that day.
Wait a minute.
11 if we see the mallard.
I'm sorry, but as someone who has recently discovered her love of birds, you're not going to see the mallard?
Well, here's the thing. It's just
It's too far.
it it's a based on where it is, we'd have to basically like go all the way there and then turn around and come back the way we came to go
Mm.
where we're going. And I know my youngest is going to want to get in that hotel pool that night. So I want us to get in at a half decent time so we can, have a meal. Then he can hit the pool. If you think I haven't considered a quick jaunt out of the way on the way home, then I'm like, I mean, what I love is past Christy would have been like, well, this episode will release while I'm away. Maybe my husband will hear it and be like, I'll surprise her by going to see the duck. Current Christy is going to be like, maybe I'll just suggest we stop on the way home.
I think that's a better way to get what you want in life is ask
Yeah.
for it. But yes.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to walk us back for a quick second because you just said you're planning to unbox things at each one of these
N-
stops. But then you said, should I take a video at each of these locations? And then to that I say, wait a second. So
I'm
do you
giving
mean you
myself twice the work.
but wait, no, I think what I don't understand is are you unboxing in the car while the car is moving? Is that what you mean? Like, aren't you filming the unboxing anyway?
Well, I'm going to film. My hope is to film the unboxing with the item either in the window or if it won't, possibly have my husband film while I unbox these things. What have I done? This he knows about, so that's fine. Um, but then I was like, well, after I've done that video, for other purposes, do I take videos at each of these things? And then all of a sudden we've got a last call.
Oh, okay.
So I'm
Got
just
it.
looking at like, do I do extra work when I'm
No.
like, maybe stand down.
Well,
You'll
I'm not
take a
telling you.
picture at each location and then you can like, I'm
We can
gonna
talk
have to
about it.
unbox it,
I'm
but
not telling you to stand down, but I just
oh,
don't think
I'm
you need to
telling
give
me to stand
yeah,
down.
I don't think you need
Yeah.
to give yourself more work. Now I
Yeah.
understand. I was like, because I guess what I didn't understand was you were like, I was also thinking I could video take a short video, and I was like, but you're not videoing the unboxing. And then I was like, is this just for her spirit? She's just gonna unbox these things.
No, because I for again, it's my own fault. Because someone left a goof in charge. I decided for the July and August, every other day, I'm posting like a field trip video of
Mm.
me unboxing something somewhere. And I was like, well, while I go on vacation, I'll bring things with me and I'll unbox there. What are you doing? It's a vacation. Stand down.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah.
Kielbasa.
Kielbasa. On that note, what you
Yeah.
drinking over there?
Somehow, shockingly, stone sober. I'm because I have such a big day tomorrow. I'm doing a strawberry lemonade.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I want you to know that I'll all with the fire of a thousand suns, all I wanted was a glass of wine. But I was like, you are not out of the COVID woods yet. Don't push
Hmm.
it. So I had a little Diet Coke. People are going to say, that's bad for you. It's not good for your immune system. It keeps me alive. It's keeping me alive emotionally. I'm
It's good for
fine.
your spirit.
And then some water. So anyway, and
Hey.
I'll also say I think that a Diet Coke is probably better than alcohol right now. So that's it. Anyway, this episode we're talking about Gloriavale. This is of course
Hmm.
our June patrons poll pick. The over there on patreon.com/true crime and cocktails, you can vote for one of the episodes that we'll cover here on the main feed. And the people did vote for a cult episode, and so that is what Gloriavale is all about. I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with this case, so let's get everybody up to speed, including myself, right now. Gloriavale is a small, self sufficient community on the South Island of New Zealand. They grew to a population of about 600 people and went mostly under the radar until 2014 when they hired a film crew to create a series of documentaries meant to draw new members to their community. Unfortunately, viewers didn't see them as the safe, carefree environment that Gloriavale tried to portray itself as. Instead, people started to question the levels of abuse and exploitation that was happening behind closed doors. So, is Gloriavale really the carefree utopia that they claim to be? Or are they a cult which has been abusing people for decades? Christy Oxborrow investigates.
This gets dark.
Well, I'm here for it.
So, it is what it is. It's rare you're going to find a cult that's not dark. Um,
Yeah, true.
so disclaimer, this episode will contain mentions of child abuse, sexual abuse, and physical abuse. So trigger warning for those who need it. Also, a secondary disclaimer, as with most cult episodes, there is so much information out there. We could fill multiple episodes um, just on this topic alone, not including hours of searches on the internet. I read a book about this case and watched 5 documentaries.
Whoa!
For the sake of not belaboring the heaviness that comes with this kind of episode, we're just cramming it all in today. So maybe consider today just kind of an overview.
Got it.
It's still going to be very jam-packed. Um, but there are also so many stories of people who left Gloriavale. Um, and there were just so many of them, and I don't have time to get to all of them. And it just got confusing with that many different names and all of that. So you're, again, there's still going to be so much information
Of
that you won't know
course.
what to do with it. So, but I will, I mean, I wasn't going to put in any like personal stories, but I was interested in this. So I'm giving you this nugget. Um, just between us,
Mm.
I watched a documentary called Gloriavale, New Zealand Secret Cult. It focused on a man named John Reedy, who had been exiled from the cult in 2017 and then spent 3 years trying to get his wife and 9 children out. Because if they decide that you've broken a rule, which in John's case was the simple act of getting caught with a religious magazine that might put ideas in his head,
Oh boy.
you're asked to leave immediately. No money, no photo ID, nothing but a change of clothes, and your family also has to stay behind. But I mean, that whole documentary very much pushed like John is this hero, all of these things. And I'm not saying he's not. But something I learned about John that wasn't in the documentary is the fact that he was charged with physical assault with a weapon against two 11-year-old boys. While working on a farm, John was unhappy with the boys' work performance, so he hit them both with a metal fencing implement. He said it was to discourage their disobedience.
Oh boy.
John pleaded guilty, and the judge said John was basically a product of his environment, and he simply grew up in a community where physical discipline was commonplace. John was sentenced to 3 months of community detention, which essentially means a curfew, electronic monitoring, and some sort of house arrest. And while I have compassion for what John's life was like growing up in Gloriavale, I'm shocked that a judge kind of let him off the hook, simply saying he didn't know any better, despite the fact that he's an adult. But that is a theme we're going to be touching on again before the end of this.
Oh.
But before we look at life inside Gloriavale, we have to look at the man who founded it. Neville Barclay Cooper was born October 14th, 1926 in Toowoomba, Queensland, which is on the complete opposite side of the country from Yallingup in Western Australia, where the 2024 Nicolas Cage movie The Surfer was filmed. Also in that movie, Julian McMahon, who has sadly passed away this month. I loved him on Nip Tuck. His death was very shocking for me. Is this Nick Cage bit getting old already? Of course. But since I spend days researching and writing notes about topics that tend to be incredibly heavy, finding a casual way to randomly mention Nicolas Cage is like a drop of joy in a pool of darkness. For those keeping track at home, the Nick Cage tally is now at 4, and I'm completely out of hand. So, it is what it is. Did I also like wake with a start this morning, realizing I hadn't looked into a way that Nicolas Cage could fit into this episode? Yeah. Did I quickly find one? Yeah. Did I make sure it was at a part before things get bad? Yeah.
And that's the care you bring.
She does what she does. Again, 4 in a row, and I didn't think I'd get to 3. But the beautiful thing is, I already have heavy plans for 5.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah. So, Neville. Neville leaves school at the age of 12 to work at his father's fruit shop. His parents were described as hard and mean. Neville left home at 16 and joined the Air Force. He left after less than a year and luckily didn't see any active combat. Neville briefly lived with one of his aunts, who was a member of the Church of Christ. So at the age of 21, Neville started attending church for the first time in his life, and the following year, he claimed that he met God and that God told him to become a minister. Neville started preaching a year later when he was 23. That same year, Neville married a girl that he met at church. I say girl because Gloria Perry was just 16. At the time of their wedding, Neville was 23. Their first child was born in 1952, about 2.5, 3 years later after the wedding. So Neville starts preaching, like we're talking full evangelical style, yelling about fire and brimstone type stuff, intense across the country. Neville called it Voice of Deliverance, and he would even pilot small planes to bring his message to remote places. He moved his family around every 12 to 18 months, looking for a place to start a commune that he believed would be his vision of heaven on earth. But by the early 60s, there were not enough followers in Australia who were willing to join the commune. In December 1965, 16 years into their marriage, Neville and Gloria had 9 children, and Gloria was pregnant with their 10th. The two of them, along with 2 missionaries, one of which was only 14 years old, flew from Maryborough to Coolangatta when their plane had engine trouble. The plane crashed about 120 miles north of Brisbane, but miraculously, all 4 passengers survived. And while one of the missionaries broke a bone in his neck, the other 3 relatively unscathed, to the point that Neville immediately pulled out an 8mm camera to film the wreckage to show everybody how that they had been spared by God.
Wow.
But since Neville hadn't bothered to file a flight plan, no one knew they were missing. They ended up spending 4 days in the bush waiting for help, which didn't arrive until Neville waded through a river until he came across a fisherman. Gloria gave birth to a daughter 5 months later. In honor of what they had been through, they named the baby Miracle. In 1967, Neville was invited to preach in New Zealand. He had previously been there a few years earlier during a 3 month long preaching tour. You know, preaching tours where he would go off for months at a time to spread the good word while Gloria was at home raising 8 or 9 children alone. Well, during this second trip to New Zealand, Neville took the whole family. They traveled the country for 18 months before settling in Rangiora on the east coast of the South Island. Neville said he was asked to share leadership at the Christian Revival Center there. The truth was, he just pushed his way in. But he did end up getting removed in 1970. Neville took his small group of devoted followers, who were called Cooperites, and started the Christian church on a farm in Springbank, which is just down the road from Rangiora in Cust. The farm was owned by a man named George Harrison. Two of George's sons married two of Neville's daughters. And I know nothing about those marriages, but God, I hope all four of them were happy with those arrangements. I hope that all four of them wanted that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at the farm, they built a church, a school, and several businesses, including waterbed manufacturing and cabinetry. You thought kielbasa was the weirdest thing I was going to randomly pull out tonight. They also grew a variety of crops. They raised animals, specifically sheep and pigs. Every church member who worked at the farm shared in the profits that were made. They built their own houses. They became completely self-sufficient. And overall, it was a happy, carefree environment. In 1976, Neville moved his family to the farm. And in traditional Neville fashion, he just kind of took everything over. Soon he suggested all the women wear the same long blue dresses to avoid any jealousy or vanity. And while that may not seem like a big deal, I want to point out one of the first things a cult does to gain control over people is to strip away any individuality. The next step is to take away their finances so people become fully dependent on the cult. So Neville convinced the church members, who spent more than 12 hours a day cooking, cleaning, caring for children, working at the various businesses, instead of paying them a wage, they would just put that money back in the church so the church could prosper. He said they didn't need the money anyway because the church was providing them with everything they needed: food, clothing, shelter. By this point, the people trusted Neville and believed that this was what God wanted for them, so they gave up everything. They worked 7 days a week with no breaks, no vacations, and no pay. They started wearing the same outfits, with women in long blue dresses with white head coverings, and the men wearing dress pants, shirts, and ties. They gave up their individual homes and agreed to live in group hostels where each family was only given a single room. They gave up every single possession they owned when they arrived at the commune, simply because they trusted Neville and his mission. And while some may immediately think Neville earned their trust simply to skim off the top and start living large on their dime, he didn't, because money wasn't Neville's interest. He wanted power. Sure, he probably enjoyed living a world where people cooked for him, cleaned up after him, and did his laundry, but I think he mostly enjoyed being loved by so many people and knowing he had power over them. Unfortunately, the power was soon corrupted, which we will get into in a moment. So, in their community, there is a specific order of power. It starts with Neville on top as the overseeing shepherd. Under Neville are 6 men who are called shepherds. Under them, another 6 men always, always men, who are called servants. The 12 men made the big decisions in the community, including like marriages, disciplines, what job everybody's going to do, finances, that sort of thing. The top guy, Neville, made all the final decisions. The next power level after all those 13 are all the rest of the men in the community. Under that, all the women. Because women had absolutely no power in this community at all, which will become apparent later or fairly soon when we talk about birth and marriages.
If
Once Neville changed how the community money was being handled, he started asking members to sign a legally binding document, which essentially stated they were donating their possessions and money to the leaders of the church. The final line in that document stated that if the person breaks any of the vows, they did so at the peril of their soul. They reeled people in with the promise of a safe, happy, God filled life that would earn them rewards in the afterlife, including a place in heaven. And they kept the people there with the fear that going against the church meant eternal damnation. But Neville didn't want people to just follow the Bible. He wanted them to follow his own specific teachings, so Neville rewrote the New Testament into his own Bible, which he called What We Believe. It's lengthy.
I bet.
I went through it. So I'm obviously not going to get into all of it. I just want to point out a few highlights to give you an idea as to who Neville was as a person. First off, he only allows marriages between a man and woman and has publicly, or well, I guess publicly in his book, stated he is very anti-LGBTQIA+.
Mm.
I believe a comment was like, nobody here is born gay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm like, that's fascinating. Um, and wrong. Uh, he believes in very archaic gender roles, stating that men are meant to lead and protect, and women are supposed to support and nurture.
If
While the men worked at various businesses on the property, the women are expected to do all cooking, cleaning, and childcare. The women are known for starting their day between 3 and 6 a.m. to prepare breakfast and start laundry, and then they just work continuously throughout the day until late evening without any breaks. A direct quote from Neville's fake Bible, quote, women must not question or correct the men, must submit themselves. Get bent, old
mm,
man.
yes.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, no thanks.
And it's early to be this spicy. So, women are expected to dress modestly, including wearing head coverings as a sign to the angels that a woman has placed herself in submission to the authority of men. One leader said, the coverings remind the women of their place. And that makes my blood boil.
Yeah,
Women are told to wear head coverings starting at the age of 5 so they don't seduce men.
disgusting.
They also aren't allowed to roll up their sleeves because they're told men are turned on by elbows. I, I don't know. I just don't even know. So, curiously, this fake Bible also mentions that while women cannot hold any level of leadership in the church, they have equal rights to be loved and respected. I watched nearly 7 hours worth of documentaries with footage from Gloriavale, and I can honestly say there was not 1 second during that time when I thought, oh, yeah, these women are loved and respected.
No.
Like how they don't allow birth control because they believe that God will give them all the children he wants them to have. So the women are forced to give birth, although they publicly say they're happy about it because they believe having children is what women are meant for. One Gloriavale girl said, quote, I can't do anything to get pregnant. God gives me the baby when he wants me to have it. Just feels like a dangerous sentiment to teach young girls.
Yep.
Um, they also don't seem to allow any sort of drugs during birth. Neville's Bible states, quote, "If Christian wives continue in faith, charity, and holiness with sobriety, God will bring them through childbirth without much of the suffering and sorrow experienced by unbelievers." So I guess if a woman experiences pain during childbirth, it's simply because she doesn't believe enough and not because childbirth genuinely fucking hurts. And speaking of science and medicine, they also don't believe in vaccines.
Oh, of course.
And they said their first solution to any health issue is to pray. I will give them props in the fact that they will go to a hospital in a nearby city if it is necessary. So at least that's something. I hate the rest of it, but at least that's something. At least they won't deny a hospital if needed. Um, but I just don't feel the women are truly loved or respected. Neville was interviewed once in 2007, the only interview he ever willingly did publicly. He said, quote, "You've got girls, 12 and 13, who are capable of being a mom. Is she a child?" The interviewer, who was female, immediately said yes. Neville then says, quote, "Well, she's called a child, but she's really a woman now." Gross.
So gross.
The term woman implies an adult able to make adult decisions. At 12 and 13, they are a minor and a child. It's horrifying to even suggest anyone would be okay with someone that age becoming a parent intentionally. Um, some of the former members did say that the New Zealand law was the only thing that stopped Neville from performing marriages for children under the age of 16.
Mm.
Neville then points out the Bible says, quote, good. God made men and women to marry once they reach sexual maturity. Which, is horrifying and makes you concerned about the children growing up in this environment. In Neville's Bible, he suggested that children be given godly names, such as names from the Bible or names with a clear meaning, and the adults who convert to Christ should forsake their worldly name and choose a good Christian name. So Neville took his own advice and legally changed his name to Hopeful Christian. But for the sake of consistency and because I think it will piss him off in the afterlife, I'm going to keep calling him Neville.
Hopeful Christian also just feels a little on the nose, don't you think?
Get bent, old man. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much.
It's too much.
And some may be like, Christy, he's an old man. Nope, not on my watch.
Nope.
I don't care how old he is, I'll tear him down. So, in the early 90s, the Christian church commune was growing and Neville decided to expand. So the church bought a huge piece of land on the west coast region of the South Island, uh, next to Lake Hopatee, about 40 miles east of Greymouth. Four large hostels were built on the property where the residents would live. Each family was given a single room. The room was filled with one double bed for the parents and then just a series of bunk beds for the kids. Each floor had a common area where families could mingle, and all meals were eaten together in a large dining hall in the main building. As the church members started moving over to the new commune, Neville's wife, Gloria, passed away from a brain tumor in March 1991. She was about
Oh.
57 or 58 at the time. The new settlement was given the name Gloriavale in her honor,
Mm.
which is beautiful and not much of a surprise because they were married for 41 years and they had 16 children together. Up to this point, Neville preached that if a member's spouse died, the widower would then remain celibate for the rest of their life. You know, God's will. But when
Mm.
Neville's own wife died, he changed the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty much
Oh,
immediately,
shocker.
I know, pretty much immediately married a woman named Anna. Neville was 65 at the time, and you're never going to see this coming. His new wife was 77.
Wow. I
Yeah.
almost listen, I'm not going to commend this man because I know that there's atrocities coming, but that is not something that you hear of in a cult. And I'll say it, I find that part of this story refreshing.
Him remarrying quickly made sense for who he is as a person. To choose a woman older than him, I'm almost impressed.
Yeah.
But
Here we go.
sadly, Anna died in 1994 at the age of 80. A year later, Neville got married again. Um, but this time, when he said I do, Neville was 69 and his bride, Ruth, was 17.
Oh, we were all rooting for you.
And that is exactly what I was expecting from him for his second marriage. It's especially gross when they claim the marriages aren't planned, but rather specifically chosen by God's will.
Mm,
I assume God had better plans for Ruth, but that's not the point.
yeah.
I may not be a religious person, but I can confidently say that there is not a single God in all creation that would want a 17-year-old girl to marry a nearly 70-year-old man.
It's so
Not a single
no,
one.
no, it's awful.
So I also want to point out Neville had 15 children before Ruth was ever born. Gross. I know some people have large age gaps with their partner, and you do you, but a 52-year age gap and the bride is still technically a child, it's gross. Not to mention, very obvious that Neville was looking to have more children.
Ugh.
The last public update on Ruth was 2007 when she was pregnant with their fifth child.
Mm,
One thing that I do find interesting is most of the information available about Neville doesn't mention his second or third wives. Gloria is simply always described as Neville's first wife, and then no one ever goes further. So I had to really dig to find Anna and Ruth. Thankfully, I did. Otherwise, I'd honestly still be searching because I refuse to let it go. I guess Neville doesn't like to remind people that he changed the rules about widows getting married just because it was convenient for
mm,
himself. So Gloria dies, and Neville names his settlement after her. The order of power remained the same, with the 12 male leaders and Neville making all the decisions, including marriages. So, how do marriages work in Gloriavale? Well, when a young man, aged 17 or older, decides he's ready to get married, he goes to the leaders for advice. And by advice, I mean he literally just tells them, I'm ready to get married. And the leaders say they'll pray on it to determine God's will. Uh, you know, and to ensure the community bloodlines don't get mixed up. The leaders then give the man a list of 5 or 6 women that are within his age range, and the man is asked to pray about which woman he believes God wants him to marry. Now, the details are a little fuzzy here. It doesn't seem like the men actually pick their bride. From the sounds of it, the leaders give a list, the man goes and prays and comes back, and then the leaders say, this is the woman God told us. Is that the woman you were praying about? And he goes, yep. So I don't know why we go through the whole thing
that's so
about giving a
silly.
list. Um, so once the decision is made, with absolutely zero input from the woman, the man then proposes to her in what is likely their first conversation they've ever had.
Ugh.
Uh, the couple is then considered to be courting, which means they're allowed to spend brief periods of time together only with chaperones. And 6 weeks later, they get married. So they go from never speaking to immediately being engaged, and less than 2 months later, they're married. Some say they're in love at the time of their wedding. Some say they'll grow to love their spouse because it's God's will that they get married, and they know God's will is perfect. And I think we can all agree that's intense. It's intense. To be clear, I'm not judging their way of life in any way. Everyone is on a different path, and just because their path clearly isn't for me doesn't mean it doesn't work for them. But there's something off-putting about hearing a 17-year-old boy being asked what he likes about his 22-year-old fiance. And his answer was, quote, "She's willing to submit to me, which I feel is very important for a marriage to last."
Mm.
And that brings me to the wedding vows. I have a few examples from the various documentaries that I watched, some of which were created by Gloriavale themselves to garner positive press. I don't think it worked. So I've seen the men say things like, quote, "We'll never practice birth control," and, quote, "I promise I will always obey the leaders and I will lead you in the right ways." The women, however, have said things like, quote, "I submit myself to you, to obey you, to love you, and to satisfy your desires and your needs, and never to refuse you."
Ugh.
So, really different vibes there. After the couple is married, they are taken to a room that has been prepared for them where they immediately consummate their marriage.
No.
They're then
Oh.
brought back to the dining hall for a big meal where they can then sign all the legal documents. Um, the couple are then given a room in the hostel, which they are expected to fill with children pretty much ASAP. Speaking of children, since Gloriavale is completely self-sufficient, they have a school which claims to be very close to the standard New Zealand curriculum. The biggest difference is in history, the kids are taught creationism over evolution, and around the age of 15, most kids are pulled from school completely to start preparing for their future jobs. The boys are taught agriculture, engineering, building. The girls learn about food safety, how to care for children, laundry, and how to make clothes. Because again, Gloria Vale really loves their strict gender roles. The leaders say that children are taught things that will prepare them for an adult life at Gloria Vale because every young person is expected to just spend the rest of their lives there. And why wouldn't they? When they spend their entire lives hearing that the outside world is evil and unsafe, the leaders censor all newspapers, books, and movies that are brought into the community. I saw a thing that said they will only um, allow them to read articles and sometimes post them like on bulletin boards around the community of like any sort of natural disasters, any sort of like murders, like they'll post anything negative about the world to be like, this is what it is out there. And I'm not saying it's great, but compared to that life, I mean, maybe it's not so bad. Um, but these kids spend their entire lives hearing if they leave, they'll spend eternity in hell. And for someone raised religiously, that threat is enough to scare them into staying. But to the leaders, the members aren't staying in the community because of fear and psychological abuse. They're staying because it's God's will. And that seems to be something that gets thrown around in Gloriavale to excuse literally anything they want. A teenage boy says he wants to get married because he believes it's God's will. I think if the kid was being honest, he'd probably admit he only suggested marriage because he's interested in sex. Neville himself said the way they handle teenage hormones is essentially letting the teenagers get married because it's God's will. The leaders pray about various decisions like who should get married and whether they should spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a piece of machinery for one of their businesses. And when they all decide yes, well, it's God's will that they have it. Again, I know I'm not religious, but it feels like God's will is something these people just use as an excuse to get whatever they want without having to question it. Like when Neville convinced the community that it was God's will they give up their money to the church instead of being paid for working every single day. He also set up the Gloriavale Charitable Trust so that they could reap all the tax benefits of being considered a charity. Like how in 2021 they received 4.8 million from the government, even though they had a profit of 2.1 million on their own.
Hmm.
And I know you're asking, how did they make that kind of money? Well, they have a full dairy farm setup, which was one of the biggest suppliers of milk on New Zealand's west coast in 2007. They also grow willow, which gets used for basket making. They manufacture furniture. They sell sphagnum moss, which gets shipped to the United States. And for a brief time, Gloriavale was home to a small commercial airline. You just don't see that coming.
No.
Gloriavale assets are said to be worth more than $60 million.
Wow.
But of course, they're able to own millions in assets and have millions in profits when they have a large workforce who work 7 days a week for free. When Neville was asked about the community members getting paid, he said their pay is the fact that they're given food, shelter, and health care for free. He said if they were to go out into society and get a job, they'd have nothing left after paying for all the things they get for free at Gloriavale. I mean, they'd also have freedom to do what they wanted in their spare time and wear what they wanted and marry who they wanted or simply not get married if that's what they wanted. They would also have more private space and be allowed to lock the door to prevent anyone else from entering their private space. Because that's the thing about the hostels at Gloriavale. There are no locks on the bedroom doors, and the leaders are allowed to go in any room they want at any time, and no one is allowed to question them, because questioning leadership can get you kicked out, which to the members would mean eternal damnation. But the people of Gloriavale shouldn't have any concerns about their own safety because evil and sin only exist in the outside world, right? Well, as we've seen time and time again throughout history, power tends to corrupt and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yes, I'm quoting Lord Acton now because it's accurate. In the case of Gloriavale, at its height, there were over 600 people living in the community, and Neville had complete power over all of them. Again, this is the man who changed the community's rules about widows getting married simply so he could marry two more times, including once to a child. So right away, we know he's not a good person. And then in June 1993, police did an investigation into sexual assault allegations against Neville, and he was arrested during a raid weeks later. Neville was charged with 11 counts of sexual violation against five girls who were between the ages of 12 and 17. The incidents were said to have occurred between 1980 and 1984 when Neville was in his late 50s. Neville was found guilty on 10 counts and sentenced to 6 years in prison. However, he was quickly released following an appeal, which claimed the judge had misdirected the jury. A retrial was held in May 1996. However, this time, Neville was only charged with 3 counts of sexual assault against one girl. I'm not going to get into the specific details because it's horrifying, and this is already more than anyone needs to ever hear. Just know it involves Neville using a specific item to break the hymen of a 19-year-old girl so that she could enjoy her wedding night.
That's horrifying.
This man is an absolute piece of shit. Neville was found guilty on all 3 counts and sentenced to 5 years in prison, but that didn't mean he was ousted from his own community. No, he was allowed to lead them from prison. He read them sermons over the phone. He continued to make all of their decisions. And why would these people blindly follow a convicted sex offender? I mean, it's almost too easy to bring up a parallel of what's happening in American politics, so I won't. But in the case of Gloriavale, the community wasn't told about the allegations. They were told he was imprisoned for his religion and for preaching the gospel. In
Mm.
November 1996, Neville was released early for good behavior. He served roughly 11 months
Oh my
of
God.
his 5 year sentence. He then returned to Gloriavale and was immediately reinstated as overseeing shepherd, like he'd never left. But of course, the abuse didn't stop. We know from the initial arrest that Neville had been abusing girls as far back as 1980. Well, it turns out in the late 70s, when the community first started, Neville started holding marriage education sessions. What
There
does
we
that,
go.
yeah, what does that mean exactly? Um, he would make his single followers watch him and his wife have sex so that they'd know how to do it once they got married.
Mm.
And then he would have groups of married couples have sex in the same room so he could watch and make sure they were doing it right.
Oh my God.
Sometimes he even forced couples to be filmed when they had sex on their wedding day. Um, he would invite couples over for post-marital therapy, which means he would make the woman undress and massage her entire body in front of the woman's husband and in front of Neville's wife. hmm Those who questioned it were removed from the community, and the rest fully believed that Neville was helping them. He was also known for telling married couples to have sex in front of their children so the kids would learn about it in advance.
Oh
Um,
God.
and I don't think I have to point out that's child abuse. When asked about this during his 2007 interview, Neville denied it, saying it was all lies from people who were angry about being ostracized from the community. He said, quote, "They can turn anything good into anything evil."
Mm.
What good does he genuinely believe he was doing? He was abusing people, including children, and hiding behind God as an excuse. It's disgusting. But Neville wasn't the only problem in Gloriavale when it came to abuse. I have a few more examples for you. I warn you, it's vile and incredibly frustrating. Um, we're just going to hit them all quickly to get through it. But in 2014, 47-year-old sex offender Brent John Carpenter was released from prison after serving 2 years and 5 months for three charges of unlawful sexual connection with a 15-year-old boy. By 2017, Carpenter had moved into Gloriavale and changed his name to Courageous Sojourner. So he's just one of them now. So can't
Hmm.
imagine what's going on there. In 2019, a former senior member of Gloriavale pleaded guilty to indecent assault and unlawful sexual connection with children under the age of 16. He was removed from the community, referred to a sex offenders treatment program, but not put on a sex offender registry. In March 2019, 67-year-old Just Standfast, yeah, his name is Just because that's, yeah, them and their godly names. Um, Just was a Gloriavale teacher. He was convicted of indecently assaulting a 9-year-old girl. He was sentenced to 6 months house arrest in a farmhouse owned by Gloriavale.
Mm.
5 years later, he pleaded guilty to two charges of unlawful sexual violation against two girls, aged 7 and 14, as well as 10 charges of indecent assault on girls under the age of 12 and 6 charges of indecent assault against girls between 12 and 16. He also admitted to charges of assault with blunt weapons against 5 boys between 1983 and 2023. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison. In 2021, a 21-year-old Gloriavale man pleaded guilty to 3 counts of indecent assault against 3 teenage boys between 2015 and 2018. The man said at the time he and all 3 boys had been assaulted by older men in the community, and he wanted to see what it was like to be on the other side of the abuse. After the man completed a restorative justice program, the judge said the man was had no risk of reoffending, and the man was discharged without conviction. The judge said since abuse was normalized in the man's upbringing, the consequence of a conviction outweighs the seriousness of the offending, and he didn't feel the man should be stuck with the stigma for the rest of his life.
Oh my God.
By stigma, do you mean the consequences of his actions?
Who are these judges? Is it all the same
It's
judge? It's crazy.
it's insane. A 41-year-old man confessed to indecently assaulting 5 children. He was sentenced to 21 months. In February 2025, 45-year-old Fervent Ben Cannon was convicted of 8 charges of indecent acts and indecent assault against girls as young as 11. The crimes occurred between 2004 and 2018. He was sentenced to 4 years and 2 months. And sadly, that is not even close to the end of it. In 2021, investigators identified 138 potential victims and 400 suspected crimes ranging from low-level physical assault to serious sexual offending. More than 3/4 of the reported offenses related to people under the age of 18. By 2023, 17 men were charged and another 18 were under investigation. Gloriavale leaders issued an apology stating that they had failed to protect their community. They offered their deepest apologies for the abuse and the fact that leadership knew about it and didn't report it to the authorities. That is correct. They admitted to knowing about the abuse and doing nothing. For example, in March 2024, 58-year-old Jonathan Benjamin was convicted of 26 charges of offending against 9 children, the youngest of which was 5. The crimes occurred over the span of 3 decades.
Ugh.
Turns out the Gloriavale leaders were told about this man back in the 90s, but they didn't go to the police. Instead, they apologized to the girls who were assaulted and sent this man to live in a hut on the property alone for 2 weeks. The man was then welcomed back into the community where he worked as a music teacher, with children, and continued to reoffend for another 20 years before he was finally stopped. He was sentenced to 11 years and 10 months in prison. So, yeah, super glad that piece of shit was allowed to continue living within the community for decades unchecked. Just like how a male Gloriavale teacher was caught sexually abusing a young student, given a slap on the wrist, and then allowed to continue teaching. 20 years later, it turns out the teacher had absolutely continued to abuse more children, and the school's principal not only knew about the abuse, he had also renewed that teacher's teaching certificate twice throughout the abuse. I also believe that was the situation where the abuser had to apologize to the girl's father.
Oh, to the father. Wonderful.
Mhm. But never fear. Gloriavale leaders issued an apology stating, quote, "We thank the people who have spoken up and brought this sin into light where it could be dealt with. We honor your courage, and we also acknowledge that those who struggle to find the words to express their pain." But you know that sexual abuse wasn't the only abuse happening in Gloriavale. There have been numerous physical abuse allegations, like when Connie Reedy came forward to say her father Clem had physically abused her and her sister Prayer for 12 years. Clem pleaded guilty to 2 charges of assault with a weapon. His lawyer admitted that Clem was not a man lashing out, but rather a man who didn't have the coping mechanisms to handle a 70-hour work week, as well as the psychological and mental stress that he was under. Clem's lawyer also claimed Clem was simply uneducated and wasn't aware that the law had changed to restrict the use of reasonable force when disciplining children. Clem was sentenced to 12 months supervision. It's also worth noting that Clem is also the father of John Reedy, who I mentioned at the beginning of this episode. John was the guy who hit the two 11-year-old boys um, with a metal pipe and didn't serve any time because the judge felt it wasn't fair to punish someone who simply didn't know any better. Gloriavale tried to appeal to keep Clem's name out of the press, saying it would hurt his future employment attempts and also be a blight on his self-confidence.
Oh, please.
Coping mechanisms or not, sir, you spent over a decade hitting your daughters with a coat hanger, a belt, and apparently one of the tools from your work bag. I have no sympathy for what punishment might do to your self-confidence. Also, it feels like a slippery slope to let people get away with abusive behavior simply because they weren't raised to know any better. If that's the case, then the Gloriavale leaders who were responsible for the education of their community should be held responsible. Also, if a judge can say, oh, it's not his fault, Gloriavale normalized abuse, then it's time to shut Gloriavale down.
Yeah.
But before we move on from the Reedy family, I also want to mention more about Prayer Reedy, who was one of Clem's abuse survivors. In June 2015, Prayer, who had Down syndrome, choked to death on her dinner while in a Gloriavale isolation room. Prayer had allegedly been placed in the room after a baby boy had been diagnosed with an infectious and dangerous disease. Also in that room were Prayer's mother, Sharon, a man named Ben, and four of Ben's children. But when Prayer started choking, Sharon and Ben didn't know what to do. But no one, they couldn't get out to get help, and no one could come in to help them because the door handles had been disabled to prevent people from getting in and out of the room. Ben managed to get through a window in the room to run for help, but by the time they arrived, Prayer was already dead. She was just 14 at the time. A New Zealand coroner ruled Prayer's death a tragic accident, saying that the lack of door handles didn't contribute to the child's death because
Mm.
there was a window people could have used instead. What I know about windows is they don't tend to be easier to get in and out of quickly. But
No.
what do I know? Um, the Gloriavale leaders told the community that Prayer's death was part of God's plan. Gloriavale tried to keep Prayer's death out of the news, which sounds like someone didn't want people asking questions. What really happened to that child? I mean, because they kind of operate on their own over there, we're never going to know. Uh, but if but it was questions over Prayer's death that led six former Gloriavale women to take Gloriavale to court over allegations of slavery, forced labor, and servitude. The women said they were forced to work 16 or more hours a day with no pay. Most never slept more than 4 hours a night. So now we're talking sleep deprivation. The women said they were threatened with eternal damnation and refused food as punishment. Gloriavale claims these women chose to work, so they were simply volunteers, which means they weren't owed money. During the trial, 17 former members testified against Gloriavale, while 26 members testified on Gloriavale's behalf. The current members said the former members were giving misleading and distorted versions of the community. They said it wasn't slave labor, but rather a labor of love. A 17-year-old current member said, quote, I think the joy that we get from serving is a real pleasure. You don't get so much pleasure from doing what you want to do. Ah, sweetie. I can easily think of dozens of things that I like to do that bring me pleasure. Reading both smut and non-smut, playing video games, watching TV, hanging out with my kids, playing board games, literally any second that I spend with Lauren, doing puzzles, having movie marathons, playing mini golf, unboxing things on the internet, lounging in a pool, collecting from my animals on Tiny Zoo, going to an arcade, secretly eating McDonald's nuggets with my husband while parked in front of a moose statue so that our kids don't know we went without them. I mean, the list goes on and on, and hopefully by the end of the year, I'll have the chance to add carving my own rubber stamps to the list. That's not only a throwback, it's also a promise. Lost my mind.
I love it.
Gotta find joy somewhere.
Yep.
So the former Gloriavale women pointed out that in a typical week, they prepared and cooked 11,000 meals and washed and dried 17,000 items. When questions had previously come up about whether these people were being exploited, Neville simply said, quote, "Nonsense. They're learning responsibility." In the end, the judge decided that the women were, in fact, employees and not volunteers, meaning not only should the women have been paid, they also should have received overtime, breaks, and holidays. 60 former members are currently preparing a claim for lost wages and compensation, which could cost Gloriavale close to 20 million.
Wow.
Gloriavale has, of course, filed an appeal. And just when you think that Neville couldn't possibly push things even further, he secretly set up a second Gloriavale community in southern India in 2015. 5 women from the New Zealand community were sent to India with the mission to marry and start the new community. So the leaders got a group of single girls together and asked for volunteers for the mission. Only one girl said yes. But yet, in 2018, they sent 5 girls who were immediately put into arranged marriages and forced to have children. So, yeah, 4 of these girls went unwillingly. So now we're adding human trafficking.
Mm,
And now, all 5 of these women have since given birth to several children each, and now they're all stuck there. They don't have passports. Their children don't have birth certificates, so they have no legal way of leaving India or simply just returning home. Which leads us to the big question that people ask about Gloriavale members. If they don't like it, why don't they leave? Because leaving is easier said than done. When a person leaves Gloriavale, whether of their own volition or they are forced out, they have no photo ID, no driver's license, no birth certificate, no money, no car, nothing but a change of clothes. So, to a person in that situation, say someone who was born in the community, where are they supposed to go? They don't know anyone on the outside. They don't know how to navigate life outside. Hell, they don't know the value of money because they've never had to deal with it before. Instead, they spend their lives fearing the outside world and the idea of ever going to hell. And for that, the psychological abuse is enough to keep them there. But since its development, hundreds of people have in fact left Gloriavale, including 9 of Neville's first 16 children.
whoa.
Neville's son Phil left the community in 1989 and begged his wife to go with him, but she refused, saying she feared eternal damnation. Months later, Phil returned to Gloriavale in the dead of night and literally kidnapped his own wife and their 5 children. Sadly, Phil's wife chose to return to the community on her own, and from the best I can tell, she remains there to this day. She had said she felt her children would be damned for eternity if one of their parents did not stay. So she
So
chose to stay.
where were the kids?
The kids stayed with him. The kids have
That's
lived their
wild.
life for decades on the outside without her.
That's crazy.
Yeah. In the 2010s, 130 people fled the community. So to recruit new members from the outside, Gloriavale hired a film crew to create 3 documentaries, which were meant to portray Gloriavale as a loving, caring, carefree environment. I accidentally watched those documentaries, not realizing that the Gloriavale leaders were responsible. Had I known that it was pure propaganda, I likely wouldn't have bothered. But it was interesting to later learn that these were meant to draw people to the community. When I was watching it, it was nothing but red flags for me. Like the documentary that they chose to call Gloriavale, A Woman's Place. Um, Once again, shoving the narrative that women are nothing but baby machines. And let me be clear. Some women want to be mothers, and that's beautiful. Some women want to be mothers and have a career, which is equally beautiful. And some women want nothing to do with children. And guess what? That's also beautiful because it's her choice. Everyone should have the choice as to whether or not they have children, and their decision should not change how God feels about them. Everyone should have the choice to live the lives they want. As long as they aren't hurting themselves or anyone else, they should be free to be themselves. Uh, but that's not how Gloriavale works. They don't want individuals. They want what they call unity, which is just everyone dressing the same and quietly doing as they're told with absolutely no pushback. But despite how many people leave, the Gloriavale community continues to grow because more than 30 babies are born every year. Not to mention the random young people and adults who find the community and feel like it's a good fit. Given what we know about Gloria Vale, it might be surprising to us that an adult would willingly choose that life. But with classic cults, they know how to reel people in by making them feel loved and supported. When asked why people are willing to give up so much to be part of Gloriavale, Neville said, "It's like trading a pocket full of dirt for a pocket full of diamonds." But of course, Neville thinks of Gloriavale as all diamonds because he was treated like a god. He didn't have to lift a finger for decades. He was provided for. And even when he openly abused his power and assaulted members, including children, the community still treated him like he shit rainbows. I'm happy to say, and I'm standing my ground by saying it that way, Neville Cooper died in May 2018 at the age of 92. As of 2007, Neville had 20 children, more than 100 grand and great grandchildren. So about a quarter of Gloriavale was directly related to him. It has not been publicly stated whether Neville's young wife ever remarried or not. And like everything else within the community, the members handle deaths and burials on their own. The family of the deceased washes and dresses the body. There is no embalming process. The body is then placed in a coffin, which community members make out of MDF and spray paint white. And then another member of the community hand paints some sort of poetry on top. Following Neville's death, the remaining 12 leaders prayed on it, and God's will told them that the role of overseeing shepherds should be passed to Howard Temple, an American ex-Marine who joined the group in the early 80s when he was 30. And in typical Gloria Vale leader fashion, in September 2023, Howard Temple was charged with indecent sexual assault on 10 young girls over the span of 20 years. Some of the girls were as young as 9. Howard has pleaded not guilty and is currently awaiting trial. So, things never change. In 2018, a group called Gloriavale Leavers Support Trust was created to help those who want to leave and those who have already left. It helps past members find housing and work and even helps to liberate the family members who were left behind. The group said that they will continue to run as long as they're needed, but their hope is that within the next 20 years, their job will no longer be necessary. Gloriavale considers themselves to be a community that is living simply in a way that pleases God. They absolutely deny being a cult, even though most of what they do is absolutely cult-like. When someone first joins their community, they take away the person's identity by changing their name and forcing them to dress the same and give up all their possessions. The members are then forced to work 7 days a week with no breaks for no money. They have no say in decisions about their lives, including who they should marry, how many children they have, and what happens with the money that they help to make. They also don't get a say in what they do for a living. They are assigned a job. That's just how it works. Thinking is discouraged, and they are not allowed to question leadership, even when that leadership learns that men are preying upon children and they do nothing about it. If anyone has anything negative to say, they're called liars and told they're going to hell. But the men being abusive, apparently that's fine. In his 2007 interview, Neville said, quote, "I believe that this is the way God wants us to be. While I may not be a religious woman, I think if God heard about the physical, sexual, and psychological abuse that is suffered in Gloriavale, he, she, they would be the first person in line to shut that place down." Reporting for True Crime and Cocktails, I'm Christy Oxborrow.
Wowzer, what a ride. Let's
Yeah,
take a
she
quick
got
break.
dramatic at the end there.
Oh, yeah, listen, I mean, just a parade of disgust.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break, hit the can, grab a drink, and we'll be back to discuss our thoughts on Gloriavale on this episode of True Crime and Cocktails. One more clap on three. One, two, three. Welcome back to this episode of True Crime and Cocktails. We're, of course, discussing Gloriavale. What a ride.
Mm.
First thing I wrote down was Neville Cooper, the Coop.
Oh my God, I hadn't even thought of that.
What a synchronicity.
God, he wrecks everything.
Yeah, he really does. He really does. Um, it's so funny that the so many cults, so different, so alike,
Hmm.
so many traits, and it always comes down to sexual abuse. Like I feel like it's like inevitable. It's such proof that all of it is about power and control, right? Like that's
Right.
like the only reason why these assholes start these groups is for power and control, and then it inevitably ends up typically certainly abusing women, but then almost always it's child abuse. It's
Yeah.
disgusting. It's disgusting. Cooperites, dumb, lame.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Rewriting the New Testament,
Yeah.
bold,
Yeah.
bold move. Also,
Yeah.
who has the time?
Well,
Um,
what else is he doing
yeah, you make a
besides
great
abusing
point.
people?
What I find interesting is when he was giving his talk about how 12 to 13-year-old girls are women and that they could be mothers, isn't it interesting that they don't tend to say the same thing about boys? They don't tend to say 12 to 13-year-old boys, they're men. They're ready to be fathers. You don't typically hear that,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
It's gross.
I mean, in this community, obviously they were having the boys marry off young, around 17, don't get me wrong, but again, I mean, listen, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like I highly doubt that if you go through his speeches, he's making announcements about how a 12-year-old boy is a real man ready to be a father. Like, nobody says that.
It's insane.
Nobody says that. It's again just the ways that women are and girls are, constantly mistreated.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, all of this could be filed under that caveat. The money is crazy, and that's the thing about so many cults too. It's like they are money makers. It's like what's his name said to L. Ron Hubbard, "You want to make money, start a cult."
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously some truth to that. Um, I think to be honest with you, the thing that I found the most difficult about this episode is listening to the lists and lists of assaults and child abuse and
Mm.
lists of like here's the 85 crimes this man was charged with. He
Yep.
was convicted of 25 of them. He was sentenced to 4 years, got out after 11 months. Like
Yeah.
that is really hard throughout this whole thing, and like this through line of a judge or multiple judges being like they didn't know any better. Like, are we doing that? Because unless you're saying they have mental defect, in which case I would say then they should be put into a different facility. If they are unable, if these people are unable to discern between right and wrong and
Hmm.
are unable to follow the laws of the land as we all know them, if they are unable to mentally do that, then they should be in institutions, right?
100%.
Like so by this rationale, it just feels like it's not following the law, which is interesting to me. Um, oh God, it's so disgusting. Marriage education sessions. It's always something in a
Yep.
cult. It's always some weird fucking let's watch this, let's do this. Like, get out of here. Enough. Enough.
I feel like I've broken you.
Oh, I was broken to begin with. I've been alone in
Hey,
the house for a week. You know what I mean? I'm just excited to be talking. Um,
hey, you weren't alone. You
no,
had Dr. Robbie.
I did have Dr. Robbie, and I will have him for the rest of my life.
I love that.
No one can take him away from me. I might watch it again. Get back to the point. Um, so again, every one of these stories, like so many charges, sentenced to 4 years, out in 6 months. Like these are the like this is the through line of this episode. It's so sad. Um, Also just want to point out, you mentioned there was 138 potential victims,
Hmm.
400 suspected crimes. I
Yep.
just want to remind everybody that at the peak of Gloriavale, the population was 600.
Hmm.
So if we're thinking about the population being 600 and then I don't know how many of them would be adults versus children, I don't know how to begin to speculate on population
More
demographics. But
children than adults in that situation.
okay, so if a third of them are adults, two
Sure.
thirds are children, that means basically half of all the children, just under half of all the children.
Mhm. And those are
That
just the
number,
ones that reported it.
that was going to be the next thing I would say. And those are just the people that came forward. It's so disgusting. This other fuck who had 3 decades of crimes
Hmm.
gets sentenced to 11 years. Well, 11 for 30 years of sexual assaults. What does it take? What does it take? Show me ever, because we've been doing this show long enough that I don't think we've ever heard it. Show me ever someone that is sentenced with a sex crime who gets released early and doesn't reoffend.
Mm.
A sex crime against a child. I think sex crimes in general, there is a very high level of reoffending. That's just a statistical fact. But I don't know honestly that we have ever on this show heard a story where someone went to jail for child sexual assault, got
Mhm.
released early. We hear that a lot. But then didn't reoffend. Then just went on to live a pious life where they learned their lesson and they never did. It doesn't happen.
No.
It does not happen. I just feel like again, why do these crimes not get sentenced at a higher level of deterrent? Why
Yeah.
are we not giving 25 years for a child sexual assault? Who's going to
100%.
be against that? Who's against that? I just don't know most people that would be like, oh, too harsh. Really?
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
sexually assaulted a child? I don't know. I think sexual assaults across the board. It's just that again, it's so overwhelming when you just hear it back to back to back. It was
Yeah.
like another man absolutely committed this massive amount of crimes, most of
Hmm.
them towards children. Did a fraction of a sentence. Got house arrest.
Yeah.
Got sent to a hut for 2 weeks on the property.
Yep.
It's infuriating. It's madness. It's maddening.
Yep.
Yes, not slave labor, labor of love. What a quote.
Hmm.
What a quote. The second commune in India, not in my wildest dreams. Didn't see that one coming. Why? Why? That's wild to me. That's an element of his story that I just don't even get.
Yeah. I don't know what he thought he was doing.
Right?
I mean, I can only assume that whoever he was in contact with in India was like, we'll pay you.
Right.
I can only assume that money was involved because it does not make sense. Even if he was like trying to spread in the hopes that the entire world would become just one massive Gloriavale. It's wild that that would be the start and he wouldn't start somewhere closer like Australia since it's so much closer to New Zealand
That was my thought.
or just a second one in New Zealand.
I also feel like 600, not the greatest numbers. Like you're not if you were
Yeah.
getting to, you know, 6,000, then yeah, maybe it is time to
Sure.
expand. But again, like the delusion, it's like you're barely even, scraping the barrel, the bottom of the barrel.
I'm shocked he was willing to let anybody leave to go have children and build a workforce somewhere else and not for him.
Right.
So
Well,
I
they were
don't,
doing so well with money, I guess maybe, I don't know. Um, all of it is so fascinating. And again, yes, when you were like, so that's adding human trafficking to the list. I was like, this
yeah.
guy or these guys, because there's lots of other men that were complacent or culpable also. Final note I wrote down. Thank you for shit rainbows.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah. So it's hard to keep the rage in sometimes when it's
I didn't for the
this.
last 10 minutes. For
Yeah.
about 10 minutes, I just raged out and I feel great.
It just feels like when it's like time and time again, it's like here's somebody else didn't, who did all these horrific things and didn't really get punished for it.
I can't. It's the fact that like they were convicted. They had the proof. Yeah. It's not like we're getting into other things we discuss on this show regularly where it's like, a murder case and there's not really clear evidence and like it's a reasonable doubt and all of those things. Like these men are being convicted, every single one of them. They know that it's like, oh yeah, that was happening in that cult. They were really, really spending their time abusing children and
Yep.
women, especially the children. Um, it's just wild to me that it's like, oh, but let's not ruin their lives. Oh,
I
but this
know.
old this old ancient man, we should just give him 11 months house arrest or whatever the fuck. Like these sentences are just crazy.
Yeah.
And again, I think the biggest thing too is like doesn't deter crime, isn't deterring other people. Like I don't know. I'd say that there's a lot of fucking sicko creeps out there that if they think, "Oh, I can commit this crime, what's the worst that happens? I get 11 months?"
Yeah.
Like to me, I mean, trying to get it in the psychologist hat mind of a criminal, but you know what I mean? Like it's like I just don't know what it hurts by making the sentences longer. Like I think it only helps protect people in the communities and then
Yep.
also send a message that it's like we don't mess around.
Yeah.
Now I understand that it's a slippery slope because in, the United States there was also of course the prison complex and the three strikes you're out thing and the theories about how they were, the for profit prison system is like we got to keep people in
Mhm.
prisons and that's not what I'm talking about here. That was involving people on like drug charges getting life in prison, which by the way, I don't support. Um again, a nonviolent crime. I'm not saying that a nonviolent crime should ever get that much time in jail. What I'm saying is that a sexual assault crime, a sex crime,
Yep.
I'm cool with those people going to jail for the rest of their lives. Period.
100%.
I don't know why it's even a question. I just think again, it's like, well, it's patriarchy ultimately, right?
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's still it's not punishing these men in a way that is appropriate for the crime.
Yeah.
Full stop.
100%.
I just again I really was reeling about yeah, well they didn't know any better. That was the way they were
Ugh.
raised or whatever. I'm like, I just that's not a rationale. That's not that to me just there's no legal precedence for that unless, like I said, it's mental defect. And then that's a different conversation.
Sure.
There's a different way that you sentence that person.
Yeah.
But this idea of like, oh, they know right from wrong, they understand, but they don't, they didn't really grow up in it. Like, what?
If you know that it's a problematic place, tear it down.
Tear it down. Shut it down. And I understand then, devout followers and whatnot, they'll pop up and they'll,
Sure.
keep it going in whatever way. But it's again, it's all sending a message. It's all like, yeah, if out of 600 people you've got 138 potential victims, those are the only ones that have come forward. I don't know. I'd look at those statistics and go, hmm, feels like even if I don't care about human suffering, it's just going to be a lot more work for us to allow these people to continue to commit these crimes over and over and over again. That's going to be a lot of resources, a
Mhm.
lot of man hours, a lot of court cases, a lot of all these things. Like, even if you don't want to think about it as a human, which I would hope you would, just from a sheer like dollars and cents
Yeah,
perspective, shut it down. It's only going to save the county or the state or whatever it is over there money, you know? I don't know what the
100%.
terminology is at that point, but
Sure.
yeah, I mean, it's sad he lived so long.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad in some respect because he has, of course, so much family that have left, and there are kids who grew up where it was like that was grandpa. And they're like, I have so many positive memories of him as my grandfather, and trying to compare that to the stories they're hearing of all the stuff he did. And I was like, I can't imagine what that's like. And all of the people that he did things with, but also just a reminder that his wife was 17 when he was about 70.
Oh,
So I just feel like I hope she's doing well. I don't know
I
if
hope so
I
too.
assumed she stayed with the community. I don't know if she remarried. Again, I find it interesting that that is so quiet. It's just everything is like he was devoted to his wife. He named the whole place after her. What a beautiful thing. Oh, yeah. And then married a 17-year-old. Like that just never comes up. And it's like, because that was wrong.
Yes, yes,
Gross.
gross. Oh, well, listen, Christy Oxborrow, fantastic work. What a ride. You riled us up. You made us laugh. You got dramatic.
I did.
It's a 12 out of 10 episode as always.
Ah, you're too kind.
I speak the truth. And we thank you, dear listeners, for coming with us on this ride. If you haven't already, give us a follow on the socials on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at True Crime and Cocktails, on Twitter at Not Detectives. If you'd like some bonus content, go over to patreon.com/True Crime and Cocktails to learn more about our subscription-based service over there. And of course, the only place for official True Crime and Cocktails merch is, of course, truecrewmerch.com. So check that out as well if you're interested. Christy, do you want to tell the people about next week's episode?
There's not one.
That's right.
We are taking a mini holiday, as it were. So there
Yes.
will not be any more new episodes on the main feed for the rest of July. And I know that sounds like a long time. It's only 2 weeks.
It's only 2 weeks.
But because the last two episodes have been particularly heavy,
Right.
I decided we needed something lighter to come
Right.
back with. So on the August 5th episode of True Crime and Cocktails, Beanie Mania.
We talked about this Baby situation. We talked about how we should
Yeah.
do a podcast about it. Guess what? She's making it happen, folks. I could
And
not be
quickly.
happier. That is incredible. Um, Christy, do you want to say goodnight to the people?
Oh, good night to that little snowman in Beardmore.
I should also be noted there will still be bonus episodes all month over on Patreon. So if you're
Of
really
course.
itching, you could go over there and you'll still get new episodes from us over there. New bonus episodes over there. Anyway, yeah.
I'm a
Yeah. You know
ding
what?
dong.
Good night to you, Boom Boom.